Have you ever wondered why the waves of the ocean just stay on the shore? How come the waves don't continue to come up out of the ocean? Have you ever wondered that? Well, when I was on vacation in Maine, and I looked at the waves, it's so beautiful. I love the ocean, and our practice is going to be with the ocean ambiance. That thought did cross my mind. Come to find out, of course, the weather has a lot to do with it. The wind has a lot to do with the strength of the waves. The moon has a lot to do with the waves. But this is what I didn't realize, which makes a lot of sense. The ocean floor is not flat. It has hills and valleys, and it's not all smooth. There's different crescents and all kind of elevations in the ocean. And as we get close to shore, as the water comes to the shore, it gets more shallow, and so it's a little bit rough, the elevations occur, and so with that, the strength of the waves decrease. It creates a natural barrier. So the water, the wave stays within that area, unless there's some kind of storm or change in waves, and then, of course, the water comes out of that barrier. So we have barriers that's very natural, and we learn to appreciate those barriers, or are they boundaries? Hello everyone, and welcome back. Welcome back to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. As we begin our podcast today, I welcome you to find a space. And I'm talking about more than a physical space where you can get into a comfortable position. I'm referring to a mental space, an inner space. As we continue our discussion on exploring boundaries and barriers. During our podcast this time, we're going to really explore different boundaries and barriers, and I hope that the information that you receive is educational and it stimulates a desire to release and let go and explore beyond your barriers. Welcome. Let's get started. So the waves slow down because of the friction that is caused on the shoreline. It loses its energy, loses its strength. It's amazing how nature has set up these natural boundaries and barriers. Boundaries helps us, in a mindful perspective, to maintain safety. It helps us feel safe. It helps us communicate to others a distance, whether it's a physical distance, whether it's an emotional distance, whether it's a distance with relationships. It's a boundary. And when we communicate what our boundaries are, we allow ourselves to interact socially in a comfortable
situation in a comfortable way. When we can communicate our healthy boundaries, it helps us increase our satisfaction with life and allows us to have an inner sense of peace and safety. Setting boundaries can help us grow. However, sometimes if we don't have boundaries and there's other forces that interrupt our boundaries, it can cause us to have depression, anxiety, a sense of lack of control. It can cause negative self-talk. And so having boundaries is very important. Let's go a little bit farther into boundaries. As we grow and learn about ourselves, we can grow and learn about our boundaries. Sometimes because if we're inexperienced in knowing about ourselves, however, what happens is we communicate our levels of discomfort in ways that are not constructive. So, for example, let's talk about space boundaries. And I'm a type of person, for example, I like my space. And when someone comes into my space, it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel defensive. It makes me feel nervous. It makes it feel like I'm being invaded. And so when people who maybe not have that kind of boundary awareness, they come into my space, they may see me as cold, cruel, mean, not wanting to be with anyone, an introvert, all kinds of different things. And so what they are getting from my body communication is, okay, this person is not a friendly person. As I grow and I can communicate and figure out what's going on with me, I can communicate my boundaries by letting people know in a friendly way that I'm comfortable with people, not too close. So in order to communicate my boundaries, I have to be aware of how to communicate my boundaries. Saying, get out of my space, well, that's one way. Another way is to position myself in a situation, maybe sitting at a table, chair, so that the boundaries are a little bit more defined, because people who do not have those kind of boundaries may not get the message. They may have other boundary issues. Some people have boundaries issues when it comes to speaking in front of people, or different languages. Some people just have a hard time, and I think it's because of lack of experience. They've been used to their family and all the communication in their family, and they begin to venture out and on their own, and they realize they have this boundary that they've been accustomed to all their life, and now they have to be a little bit more open to communicate with people who are a little bit different in their dialect or where they come from. So a lot of our boundaries can be learned.
Okay, so we're going to stop here for now and continue next time. Right now, I invite you to transition and participate in this short practice. The goal of this practice is to release through the breath. This is a time that In your mind, you can release and go beyond your barriers. And the purpose of going beyond your barriers is to explore and to find new avenues of creativity, of relaxation, and of peace. Enjoy your practice. As you prepare yourself and get into a comfortable position, I invite you to be aware of the inner space, the inner peace within your mind, within the inner core of your soul. It's there. No matter what your barrier may be, I invite you to take this moment and tap into it. Tap into that part without barriers. Some may call it daydreaming. Some may call it relaxation. Just a moment in this place without barriers releases your creative spirit. And as you allow yourself to be free and to flow and to release, allow yourself to be open to receive, to be thankful, and find that spark, that creative spark, that calm spark that's been hiding until now. And take a breath and release any barriers in your mind, in your soul, and in your heart. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you again next time. Have a great day.